Hello, everybody. Welcome to House. I'm Rob. He's Connor. And today we are going to be going over the big news, Connor. The Pokemon Legends ZA trailer has been revealed. We've got a lot of information. They even gave us some more afterwards. There's stuff on the website, too, that I don't know if we'll necessarily need to go over, but I can kind of give some context to. But I'm pretty pumped about this, to say the least, Connor. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling good, Rob. I mean, there's a lot of changes here. There's a lot of exciting stuff that I think that I was hoping for, that Pokemon fans are going to be excited about.
Yeah.
And some unexpected things as well. So again, we're kind of everywhere in between. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of look at these and dive into this a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we've both watched these, but I think we want to have like more like kind of a discussion about it because we've not really talked about these at all. And you know, there are going to be things that maybe one of us saw that the other didn't. So we'll ask if you guys are new to this channel that you make sure to like and subscribe, as the liking helps us out a lot and it shows that you guys enjoyed the video, which is important for us. And then the subscription, because we're going to be putting out Pokemon content on an almost daily basis here over at House. So yeah, I hope that you guys will join us for this adventure as we get started. We figured, what better time than Pokemon Day? So let's hop into this here, Connor, and we'll get started. I will have the sound kind of on as we're talking about it. And I think just this very first screenshot that I want to talk about, Connor, is we get the two main characters, right, with the background being really cool. You see the Mareep in the background. You can even see, I think, that first route back there, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But right away, the thing that stands out to me is, yes, it is similar to the Scarlet and Violet graphics that a lot of people have been complaining about, but it looks really clean right off the bat with this character.
Yeah, and I think again, this is where we're seeing kind of the face. You're going to be looking at these faces a lot in this game, and so it's kind of a get used to it sort of thing. But yeah, I think the characters are interesting. I'm also just struck immediately by the architecture of the city, which I know we're going to get into much more. But this is our first glimpse at the city that we're going to be spending a lot of time in this game. It sounds like we're going to be primarily spending time in the city, in fact.
Yeah, and that'll be something that we will definitely dive into. We'll move on here. You got the female, then the male character next. A little homage that I'm seeing for the very first time. I'm actually going to bring up my my screen tool here, Connor. I'm going to try to kind of, I don't know, show some stuff. But what is interesting is if you see the lady behind him, the main character here, right here. Yeah, okay, you guys can see that good. Scarlet and Violet colors right there with her little thing in her hand. Very interesting. Another thing that I think is worth noting right now, take that off, is the scaffolding right behind her as well, Connor. I think that this is important. You will see this later in these trailers where it looks like there's, going to be, obviously this is their redevelopment program. So they are redoing all of this area. And I'm really interested to see, how this is all going to work out. You can even see like the little "don't go over here" sign to the left of the lady. Yeah. But, and then this is pretty obviously in the future. If you look to the right, everything, on these little banners is electronic. So, that was a big discussion. I don't know if you and I had it yet, Connor, but a lot of people were wondering about that. So that's kind of what I noticed there, at least again, with this screenshot, I think is important.
Yeah, I mean, this immediately, if depending on how deep you want to dive into thinking about the plot of the game, it immediately begs certain questions, like what happened to the city that's causing the need for all of these kind of changes and fixes? Was there a disaster that's being kind of, mended or something like that? Or is it, what is the intent of the people doing the development? We're going to meet those people more later. But again, it already kind of piques some interesting questions. Nice catch with the Scarlet and Violet, by the way. What a little find there.
Thank you. Wow. Yeah, I just looked over and I noticed it, and I was like, oh wait, that is something I had only noticed for the first time. So I appreciate it. We'll continue on. Next screenshot here is beautiful, really really nice. Yeah. You can see Prism Tower there in the background, Connor. Also on the left, what looks to be a Pokemon Center. You'll see a little bit more of those, but you can feel how vibrant and how much bigger the city is, right? Because I think the thing with X and Y, I don't remember the last time that you played it, Connor, but it was a little, the city was big, but it didn't feel full, if that makes sense,
Right.
right? There was just
Yeah.
not as many
Yes.
things to go into. And so you can really get I think the depth of the city in this shot here.
Yeah, especially I mean, you get the pan up into the Game Freak logo as well with this coming frame,
Yeah.
where that also just looks great. It's just a really nice look. I love that Game Freak bit has always just been very iconic to me for
I
a long
agree.
time fan. But
I agree.
yeah, I think that's you made a good point, Rob. I think that they're trying to go for here is that this needs to feel like a vibrant and alive city,
Mm-hmm.
and that is the one thing I think if they're going to achieve anything maybe in this game, that needs to be one of the things they achieve, which I think they are in good pace to do from what we've seen so far.
I agree. I agree. The one thing I'm going to point out, and people aren't going to love this, is I know that it's not always about the graphics. I will say, if you kind of look to the right and the left, where there would be kind of that fencing for a little balcony or something like that, right? Or even just the fencing in front of it. That doesn't look great, if I'm being honest with you. Now, to be fair, right, they will polish things. We have 8 months, most likely, at a minimum, until this game comes out. Right, so keep that in mind. They will polish this. The trees don't look great. The grass doesn't look great in this shot, but it looks better in other shots. So, we'll have to kind of, I don't know. We'll walk through that, Connor. But like you said, I love this Game Freak shot as well. It really shows just how big I think the city is going to be, and it needs to be big, right? If we go from Legends Arceus and we go from Scarlet and Violet, which are huge. Right? They're very big in terms of Pokemon games for us. Scale wise, I would hope that they made Lumio City about as big as Scarlet and Violet, Connor.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Scarlet and Violet, right, has the Area Zero stuff in the middle, right? The big mountain. Everything else is around it. They should be able to make this game be about that size, in my mind. So, any last thoughts before we move on to the next big, or not big, but the next shot here?
Yeah, let's move it along.
All right, so we've got the canals here to the right, which is great. Something that we expected. You see this guy with his Sliggoo. No surprises there. The hologram Pokeball. If you really were unsure if this was in the future, this shot kind of does that for you. I don't notice anything too major other than this is kind of our second. What is it going to be? A combination Pokemart and Pokemon Center. I am a little interested by the flag, the purple flag there, Connor. I'm curious to see if that will end up meaning something or not. But that's because it even almost looks like if you look behind the guy up his right shoulder here, it almost looks like there's another Poke Center.
Another Pokemon Center. Yeah.
Pokemon Center. So it feels like they're going to have one almost at every corner, which is fine. I mean, that's kind of how these big cities are. But yeah, just a couple little notes there, but nothing I think too significant.
Yeah, and I'm teasing an upcoming shot here. It's 2 frames from now, but I mean we're going to get wild zones, and those are going to be, I think, pretty plentiful. Mm-hmm. So I think to your point, Rob, there's going to be a lot of Pokemon centers throughout the city. I think as there's going to be a lot of wild zones throughout the city. So.
Yeah, absolutely, and then we kind of go into this domed area with the chandelier up here.
Yeah.
With the Pokeballs. This is going to be a major shopping center. A lot of people are speculating that this is going to be where you can change all your clothing and everything. If you kind of look around the sides, right, there are pictures of clothing, for people to pick from. I don't care as much personally about the customization of a trainer like this in a game like this. I know a lot of people do, like you. I know. I don't know why. I play this character less like me and more like a character in the game, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But there are plenty of games where I like to customize. So I don't know. Where are your thoughts on this? What is going to be kind of like a mall almost?
I assume my thinking about this. I think with a city like is it Lumos or Lumios?
Lumios, yeah.
Lumios, okay, yeah, like Lumios. You're probably going to have different districts that probably each have their own shopping center would be maybe my thinking.
It's possible.
And that you're going to get different styles of clothes and different options at each district to incentivize you to kind of shop at each. Unless this is literally like the hub mall in the middle. It doesn't look quite big enough to be that for me. Like I do see several shops, but I almost think this is probably just like one district's shop. So we'll see though.
It's possible. I mean, yeah, there's going to be like 5-ish districts from what we can tell. Yep. Obviously, you had the 5 plazas in the original Lumio City. And, to your point, I don't know if there's going to be anything that has damaged the city. I think that they're just trying to update it and change it. Yeah. We did have the big fallout from from X and Y, right, where they kind of use that mythical weapon and it, ruins the Stonehenge area type stuff for Kalos. But um, I am intrigued. Like I wonder if they will have districts that kind of look like this. Everything's ball shaped, but then, like you said, we head into the new one here where we have Area 6 here, Connor, and we are going to refer back to this Area 6 because you and I were actually talking about this earlier, and now this is answering the question I think you and I are both going to have. But you have this Area 6 here, and what I love more, probably as much as anything, is the attention to detail with the statues from the original games, Connor. A lot of people are going to think, oh, that's a new Pokemon. It's not. It's kind of like back in the day, all of the Pokemon, when you would open up, not your Pokedex, but I guess your satchel, I don't know, whatever you had back then, your backpack with your Pokeballs in it. A lot of the monster type Pokemon looked like this, and all the statues did, back on like Cinnabar Island and stuff like that. So a really, really cool thing. And I really am intrigued how they are going to successfully be keeping people out. Like, is this like an electrical barrier, or how does this work exactly with these wild areas? I'm intrigued.
It's a good question. I think it's whether we're going to see them simply, whether they will scale and level with you regardless of which wild zone you're in. So let's say you're in 1, it's this kind of Pokemon. You're in 10, it's this kind, but they're just going to match your level no matter what.
Yeah.
Or if you progress from wild zone to wild zone, which is what I would guess will be the case, where level 1 is like entry level basic Pokemon. Your Rattatas, all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. And then 6 is probably more mid-level, right? So that's what I would guess. But yeah, again, to your point, how are we kept out? Who knows?
And to your point,
maybe the force field.
Yeah, that's possible. To your point earlier too, it looks like there's a little shopping area right on the inside there, too, Connor.
Yeah, could be.
So
a little bit. Maybe that's where you get provisions like Pokeballs and potions to operate within the wild zone. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm also loving all of the Pokeball stuff in the windows. I don't know why it's like that. I don't know if that's how all of them are going to be, or if that's just in these areas now where Pokemon are going to be able to live. I'm really intrigued to see if that's going to be like these people get to live here, but now they don't get to look outside because they're afraid of people getting attacked by Pokemon.
That's fair.
How they're going to pull this off is interesting. We got the Clawwitz. Wait, is this Clawwitzer, I think. Can't remember exactly which one this one is. Brain's farting on it. But regardless, the water looks great. Then you pan up to the Furfrou. The one thing I will say is it's interesting, like the water leading up to the Furfrou, like you see the little like black stuff on that area. No idea what that's supposed to be. A little rock-ish stuff, but like the rest of it looks really nice. If you don't look too closely, it looks great, right? I think that's kind of where we're at with the Furfrou. Then you have the Sandiles. They're in Zone 8. So that is interesting, right? And we still have the Pokeball stuff on the background on all of these windows. I honestly think that's just a placeholder.
Yeah, could be.
I feel like that's just a placeholder for now, but I love how like these Sandiles are just chilling, going through everything here. Then you pan out to your character from what looks like it's going to be like the opening gate area. They had the gates, if you remember, I believe it was in X and Y, right? It's not the Unova city, whose name I'm totally blanking on, but I'm pretty sure they had the major gates in Lumiose. And in this shot as well, Connor, we get the starters, which is wild. Focusing more on the Pokemon this time, let's have a brief discussion. Chikorita, Tepig, and Totodile. Wow, what a crew. What an unexpected crew, Connor.
Yeah, listen, if you've watched any of our content, maybe some other channels, you'll know that maybe I'm generally more the optimist. Not here. I'm not happy with these at all. The only one I think you can maybe make a case that would keep me somewhat interested is Totodile. He's just a very iconic water starter. Even then, though, like personally, I would have loved to have seen Mudkip instead or something. But all in all, Rob, I'm not stoked about this. I think it's just the most basic way. And this is personal preference based on like I never really played with Chikorita or Tepig. Just not my favorite Pokemon from the starters. I think we have some really great starters of both those two types in the games. I don't know. Man. So not stoked is the vibe.
Yeah, I said it in a video that you guys can see on the main Gamehouse channel, and I'll probably do a starter analysis video here on this channel sometime in the coming days. But there was So there was no chance Mudkip was going to be one of them because it already has a Mega Evolution. So I hate to break it to you on that one. I will say Mudkip is going to be in the game. All the former Pokemon that have Mega Evolutions will be in the game somehow, some way, which I think is great. And then what is interesting, I saw this theory, I think it was HDV, who put out here that, so for the next Legends game, his hypothesis already is going to be, because, in Arceus we had Cyndaquil, Oshawott, and Rowlet. His theory is that, they're finishing out the Gen 2s, so we won't get any more of those, right? Because these are the last 2 of the 3. Then you have Tepig and Oshawott. So then the next one is going to be Snivy along with Litten and Poplio is the theory right now that he's going with, is that now we'll see though, because I think Pokemon just doesn't care. I think they're just kind of like, we're going to put these guys in there because we want to. I think Pokemon like Tepig and Chikorita, I think they needed a little bit of help, to be honest with you, Connor. I think their evolution lines, to your point, did. And I think that this is going to, whether it's Mega Evolutions that are going to be added for these, or, we got obviously the Hisuian forms in the last game, and so I don't know. Like, I think where the debate has become, are we going to get new forms of these guys or Mega Evolutions, right? I don't really know yet personally which way I'm leaning, but it is going to help these lines a lot because, dude, Tepig has been very much near the bottom for me since it kind of came out, to be honest with you. Emboar is not one that I enjoy. I have a friend who literally texted me today, Connor, who was like, dude, I am hyped for Tepig. I can't wait to play as a new Emboar form. And I'm like, okay, everybody's got their favorites, man. I mean, Tepig is cute. I don't like the other 2 evolutions. I don't like Pignite. I don't like Emboar. Chikorita is cute in its own way. Bayleaf is cute. I don't love Meganium, right? But it seems like they're going to get new forms. So
my last thing on this is, maybe this was, again, lore or previous iterations of this aside. I think maybe some of this was focus grouped to appeal to all different kinds of players, because this is, I think these are personality wise, look wise, and maybe generalizations about age groups or genders or whoever that would pick these different starters. I do think it's somewhat representative, at least an attempt to be, of the entire player base. But that's getting very into the weeds here. Who knows? Like I said,
as a Gen 2 stan myself, because Heart Gold and Soul Silver are the best Pokemon games of all time, we can debate that on a different video. They are, though. Sorry. They just are. I'm happy to see these 2 in here. Personally, Totodile is one of my all-time favorites. I have a buddy, actually, who's going to be coming over later today because of Pokemon Day. It was just his birthday, and he wants to talk about all this stuff. And I don't know if he's watching the videos until he comes over, and he is going to lose his mind because Totodile is by far his favorite Pokemon. You can actually see us. His name's Drew on the old game, or not the current Game House channel. We did a Sollock Let's Play for a little while. So that stuff's cool.
Nice.
But yeah, happy with that. Then you see them running here. Not too much to add. They're just kind of running. Like, we get more in depth to the other stuff. You see the other character eating with his Totodile. I wonder if they're going to bring food back. They keep putting food into these games. Like Scarlet and Violet, they had the sandwiches. We've had the poffins in the past. Like, maybe it's going to be cheesecakes. I don't know. Like,
Totodile is eyeing that cake, though. Totodile wants that cheesecake.
Yeah, and
there's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, he's going to probably eat it, too. So, there's no doubt about that. And like I said, I want to point out the flags one more time, Connor, because I know it sounds stupid, but if you notice right behind them, so you can see a jump point where you can go up to the roof right behind the character, and then to the right, they're blue. Maybe each section is going to have its own coloring, right, to kind of signify where you're at. I think that is worth noting because that's different. All right, we head to the next one. Then you have the Chikorita with the car in front of it. Interesting enough, I wonder if they're going to have like the police kind of keeping people in and out, maybe.
That's zone 1.
Yeah, but this is the inside of it, actually, because then you see the Bunnelby, and this is super important. So this scene right here, I think, is incredibly important, Connor, because, again, we've got the green coloring of the flags. I want to point that out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then to your left, you have a shop. So these Pokemon, even though this is a wild area, there's a shop there. And then watch what happens with this Bunnelby, right? It gets confused. It doesn't get knocked out with that move. You get the Pokeball thrown, and then you catch it. So We'll pause there. What are your thoughts? Because I have a lot on that, to be honest with you, because that's a very big interaction in my mind.
Yeah, I think that what I'm wanting out of this is for it to feel not more realistic, but just like how you would practically go about catching Pokemon.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that and you're out in the wild and you hit a Pokemon a little too hard, if it's like me, Connor, out there trying to catch Pokemon.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to knock the thing out. I'm not trying to make an unconscious Bunnelby, right?
Exactly.
And I guess their way of, but that can't happen. You can't hit something too hard and it can go unconscious. We've all seen a boxing clip before or something, right? It happens.
Yeah.
This confused bit, I think, is their way of trying to remedy that and make it make a little bit more sense. So I like it. I mean, again, it's one of the, if you're taking away things that feel bad in Pokemon games, it feels very bad to hit something a little too hard and lose the ability to catch it forever. If you hit a shiny in the wild or like an old legendary, what a horrible, deadening feeling. Maybe this is getting away from that.
My thought on that's a great point. I had not really considered the fact that you might be losing something that you want. My thought was I think they're trying to get away from like the Pokemon dying, for kids.
Also that just visually, yeah.
Which is interesting. But my last one on here, Connor, is like, how's it going to work then for spawn rates, right? Like, do the Pokemon just run away after a short period of time of you knocking them out? Like, and to be clear too, like, we're going to see the battle style, right, which is significant in this one. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm really intrigued by this. But we'll move on because I think we'll talk about later. You see the character, just teleport up to the top of the roofs, jump over it. We get a great shot of this area. And I want to take a second to talk about this because I think it's really important. Yeah. You can see one of the new plazas right in the background. So this is like the water one. You can actually see it on the map from the original Pokemon Legends ZA, trailer where they zoom out and then you kind of get an outline of the map. And you can see it on the new map as well. But this jumping onto the top of the buildings, you can see the grass. There's wild Pokemon on these buildings, Connor. And I think that is absolutely wild that they are doing that.
Yeah. That's interesting because that's I don't know if you're in a wild zone here and you're going to have lateral, kind of y-axis movement within wild zones, or if rooftops are different than wild zones.
That's a good point.
Kind of things we're left to wonder on, but I also don't know how, what mechanism the character's using to jump across this chasm.
Oh, uses the Rotom phone.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's what it is.
That can float. Yeah, that's what they end up doing.
That makes sense.
Either that or our characters are Spider-Man. That's what everybody keeps saying. So
that's I was wondering when I saw it. I was like, dang, okay, cool.
Dude, Marvel Pokemon collab, the one we always wanted. But
oh gosh,
yeah. But then you're facing off against one of the, I can't even remember the name of the rival, but you can see that they pick the Pokemon that's lesser. But here's where it gets interesting, Connor, is we get the running around bit. You see the Pyroar as well with the Pyroar statue. Now they're gonna focus on the mega evolutions, but we'll stop. We won't go back because we'll go into this maybe a little bit later as well, right? Sure. With the second trailer. But like, dude, your Pokemon are dodging, your Pokemon are moving, things that people have wanted forever to make it feel more like realistic, more like the anime.
Yeah,
I love that. Do you have any initial thoughts on that before we just quickly jump into the mega evolution stuff?
Yeah, same point I made with catching. I think this is a step towards realism, or at least perceived realism within the Pokemon universe of like, if you're fighting in a Pokemon battle, you're not just standing still and just taking the hits. Like, you're going to be moving around. If you dodge an attack, literally dodge it. We have 3D graphics now. We've had them for a couple games now. Why not do this? And so it's going to be goofy as heck running around with your character. And like, if your character gets caught in the crossfire, like, are you just going to get incinerated like Looney Tunes style, or like what's going to happen? So I don't think so, but like it's hilarious to look at. But I do think this is good for the game. It also is just going to make battling a little bit more fun and interesting, and keep the experience fresh. I bet there's still going to be stationary battles at some points in this game, maybe. But if there's not, I would be okay with it. I would actually probably prefer that there's not.
I don't know if there will be. I don't know. Yeah. We'll get into that in the next trailer. I have a lot of thoughts on the battles, so I will save those. All the mega forms are returning, right? No surprises there. We expected it. Now the thing is, I'm trying to get more information from these like mega evolutions and stuff, but you can't really see much. Now we go into this building here, though, Connor. I will say that. I guess move to that, I should say. And you got the ivy everywhere. Now, there's a screenshot of the game that is on the main Pokemon.com website where all the ivy in the trees, and it's a screenshot of the game again, not just like a, I don't know, a picture, right? Like a painted picture or anything. Graphic, I guess is what I would call it. Where it looks a lot better, like immensely already better. So, I think that they always upgrade these games. And then we're introduced to 2 new characters that we'll get talking about here soon. Then we get our guy AZ, one of the more interesting characters from the Colosian lore. Him and his Floette, his eternal Floette, they claim to be 3,000 years old. They are, at least in the lore, which is pretty crazy to see. And it's hilarious now that he is the owner of a hotel that you'll be staying at. One of the funniest shots here, Connor. I just want to talk about this. So this is the 10% Zygarde form. We knew Zygarde was going to be a big part of this. Pokemon Legends Z, right? A. We'll see what the A part actually ends up meaning. But the flashing butthole of the 10% form is just like crazy to me that they're just like, why would they keep that? Like, just make it green. Like, I don't know. I think that's so funny.
It is one of the most odd things to when you see. It's like when you see it, you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
It's like the definition of that.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm like, why is this legendary Pokemon? I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how to talk about this because of just I don't know what words to say and not say right now. But it's jarring. It's very jarring.
Jarring is, I think, a great way to put it because it's just like there's no like. What was the point? What was the reasoning for this? Like, if they were just like, oh, we need a little bit more color, then make one of the like weird tendril things coming off slightly green, like you did with its little scarf. Like, do that. Yeah. But nah, they needed the butthole. They needed it, Connor. So. Love Pokemon for that. Great, great job on that one. Something that was pointed out to me that a lot of people didn't know is the red and the blue in the little dash in the A. You can see the red at the bottom, the blue in the top left corner there. I think that's just signifying X and Y and its connection to it, but there are people who think that there's a deeper meaning to that, Connor. I don't really think that there is one. I really think it's just going to be the Z for Zygarde. Now, the A is still up for debate. They did not show me anything in these trailers that made me feel more confident in what the A is. Maybe it's just that, like, the Z is the ending of, X and Y, and the A is this new, beginning, right, to Lumio City. I don't really know, but I did want to talk to you about that because we haven't gotten to talk about the logo before on a video. So quick thoughts on that. But
I like it. I think that, with the colors, it could just be your, classic red and blue is just a very like a tried and true trope in gaming. I mean, just for showing a duality between two sides.
Yeah.
I do like the textures a lot on the letters. Kind of the hexagonal versus the roots and kind of this whole, it's setting the stage, when the whole game's about city development, or at least that's part of the plot. And then you have the kind of gridded Z that looks like it's kind of representing more like infrastructure city, like, this kind of colder scales look. And then the roots are kind of the more natural flow of the A. We're already setting up for some kind of like, conservationalist conversation or subplot in the game. Especially with the wild zones being integrated, and they're kind of like green areas, almost like central parks for the city. That I think that I could see a faction in this game of like wanting more of a push against the city versus developing it and that being a part of it. But otherwise, I wouldn't read too much. I like the logo, but there's not too much there for me otherwise.
That's fair. I'm really interested because we don't see Professor Sycamore here at all, and that's a major character from this area. So. We'll have to see. Then you get at the end of this a little extra here. So it looks like you're waking up in your room. Now, there's a lot of speculation about this, right? But then it comes up and it says, this is a promotion match announcement. And then it cuts to a picture of the Prism Tower with a Pokeball at the top. So there's a lot of theories behind this, Connor, and maybe we will do a separate video on that in the future. But there's a lot that is kind of talked about here right now. Like, Galar is the big region, right, that has the battling, with the stadiums and everything like that. A promotional match. Is this like a battle tree type thing, right, where a battle tower? Some people are saying that because of the Rotom phone and everything, that this is going to be somehow connected to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, where they're going to, because like the thing about Kalos that's interesting, right, is the last two regions that we've gone to have been the UK and Spain. Right smack dab in the middle is Kalos with France, right, or based off of France. So I don't know. And then there are some people talking about the blue and the red on the sides, meaning Magma and Aqua, or team. Is that right? Yeah, Magma and Aqua, right? Yeah. So from
Gen 3.
From Gen 3, and like they showed earlier in the Pokemon Day trailer, right? Brendan and May and Steven Stone, they were the ones to get the new Masters EX Pokemon. I'm not going to go that far, but I will admit that would be wild to see them just kind of, like, people are already saying that this is a DLC, Connor, like a big DLC.
Could see that. Just looking at the neon image, though, it is, there's a lot there. I mean, the base is like this hexagonal shape with, like, again, obviously, like,
it's the 5. It's the 5 for Lumiose. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot here that is interesting, but again, it's so cryptic that for me it feels a little bit like grasping at straws to try and figure this out. But yeah, I mean, it's a nice little, it's a good way to they've just showed us a lot with the trailer, and it feels like they're revealing a lot. This is a good way to reveal more, but also keep more hidden and keep us kind of excited for more news to come. So.
I couldn't agree more. All right, we're going to do the extended look now, Connor. Some big stuff here. So we're popping in right now, straight into it. And they are, going to talk to us a little bit more about what's going on. I'm going to actually turn the music off for this one. I'll have some music in the background. But again, opening shot, you kind of see, it looks, again, this is, I think, kind of the same one as your guys jumping across those two buildings. Kind of in the middle there, Connor, right? But then there's still a lot more, which is great. Like, the city feels huge. Like, you can't even see all of it from this area, which is nice. They talk about it obviously being in the Kalos region. Now, there's a lot more to the Kalos region. But this next part I want to talk about real quick. The very next scene they show here is the sun is going down.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
Yeah, it's confirmed. We're going to have night and day. I imagine that is going to play a significant role in the Pokemon that you can and will find.
Yep.
Even potentially some of the different quests and stuff that you're going to go on. We saw this with Legends Arceus, so that's not a huge surprise, but it just kind of confirms night and day cycles.
Yeah, that comes with, I think it's a bit obvious that was going to be the case. Like you said, I think it was expected, but that brings all kinds of questions along with it. Do businesses close at night? Do the wild zones have different Pokemon a day or night, or do they close at different times?
Or do they
wild
move?
Zones that? Yeah, do they move? Are wild zones maybe some only open at night? All the different kinds of variety that can bring would be very interesting. Can Pokemon, be like sneaking around in the dark and get have surprise elements to them as well? All kinds of different stuff, but. The sunset looks great, though, at the end of the day. Oh,
it's awesome. It is great.
Yeah.
And then we get another shot of that shopping center, that same one. A little bit of a different angle here, nothing too crazy. You get the Pavilions, the Budu. You get the Florges in the background here. Looks like you're on top of a building, by the way, on this one. Just so you know, you can see kind of in the background the roofs. So that's cool. Then you get the 3 evolutions. I was super convinced, by the way, Connor, that we were going to get a new evolution in this trailer. I'm still feeling like we're going to get a new evolution in this game, right? With Legends Arceus, while we didn't get a bunch of new Pokemon, we did get things, like Cleaver, Hisuian, Arcanine, right? Like, there were different evolutions, different things that happened with these other really big Pokemon. And Sylveon is huge. It's the last evolution we got. It was in Kalos. I have said this until I'm blue in the face. I still fully believe we will get a new evolution. I just don't think they wanted to spill the beans on every part of this game. Because we really, we're diving into this a lot, Connor, but there's an immense amount that we still have no idea about with this game. Like,
Right.
so much. So,
I do think here it's cool. You see that where there is a school, a prominent, a school.
yeah, it
Some
looks
kind.
like
These
it.
look
Yeah,
like these look like students in
that's a
uniforms,
great
and this
point.
looks like kind of a school square. So there'll be some kind of probably trainer academy or something. And who knows? I mean, if all of these students have evolutions, maybe every student is given an EV, maybe
That's a great point. That is absolutely possible.
Who
I
knows?
love that.
Or,
That
or,
is a
or
great theory.
something like that. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't even catch the uniforms. You're absolutely right. Or maybe it's just like a high society thing.
Could
as
be
well.
that too. Could easily be that, like
Either of
a
those.
different district where they wear this kind of clothing. Who knows? But
I love that because you've seen characters. We've seen other characters like these in and around the city. So that's a great point. That's a really good point. I love that. Okay, we move on. You get the Pokemon Center here. The guy in the front, Connor, looks like he is either going to be a mail guy or he's going to be somebody who helps you travel around the city. There's even the mail out in front of the Pokemon Center there, right? You can see that. You can see the Budu in there. You see the Nurse Joys. Nurse Joys are back. The Pokemart on the left, the Poke Center on the right side. This guy is what intrigues me, though. I wonder, he's got the Pelipper, it looks like, on the top. They did the whole postal thing for the 15-minute like Pokemon short that they made with Dragonite, Postman Dragonite. Very interesting to me. I don't know that it means a lot, but it is intriguing to me that they decided to do that. So
yeah, I agree. I don't have a ton of thoughts on him as well, but just again, more towards the overarching conversation of the city feeling alive and practical and real. This would be a character you would see around, so it's good to see him.
Absolutely. We head into the next part here. Looks like crypts, Connor, in this number 4.
Yeah.
Looks like some sort of burial, thing here. Very interesting.
Ghost types.
Yeah. So we've got 1, 4, 6, and 8 so far that we have seen as well. I love these older individuals as well are outside of this. So they tell us it's going through an urbanization plan. Then we go back. Pat Rat has finally made it to the Nintendo Switch. One of the few, I think maybe like less than 10 Pokemon that were not available at all through the Switch right now. So that was cool. You can see the Kaysar, right, or whatever they're calling themselves, the Kaysar logo over all this stuff. They're developing everything. There's the purple background again. Nothing significant there. You got the hologram person up here, which is interesting. You see a guy with, I think it is Clawitzer here with Pikachu. The guy again in the background in front of the Pokemon, the Pokemon Center. So feeling very confident that he's going to do something. The hologram's interesting. That I will say. I wonder if that's going to have something to do with the quests and everything that we're going. They say it's going through an urbanization. You get Bagon, Larvitar, Aegislash.
Very excited to see those two.
Yes, they both have Mega Forms, so confirming that. You've got Eevee over here on the left in the next screenshot. And then now, so this Garbodor and Trubbish, I was under the impression that these guys were purple and green, not this yellow color. So am I wrong? I'm gonna look this up real quick while you talk about this, but are we getting like a shiny version right now, or are these like a weird Hisuian form, or not Hisuian, a weird form that's just not really that big of a deal?
I don't know my Gardevoir. I don't know.
Oh no, I guess they are that color, kind of.
Yeah, I was gonna say this looks normal to me ish, but I also just love they're surrounded by piles of trash. What a great shot,
It's so nice. Yeah, I was wrong on the coloring. I just kept thinking, I think maybe it's just because the colors are nicer in this game. But yeah,
I used to Muck maybe, Muck is our purple blob.
Muck is our purple blob. You're right. You're not wrong on that. But yeah, I love that they're just kind of there in the trash, right? And it'll be interesting to see if there are Pokemon, like you said, who are maybe outside of that area, those wilds that are going to be in those areas. We get another shot of Eevee. People eating again. You've got one of the gates in the background. Then we have the Chandelure here. Then you get Sylveon, Weeping Bell. Again, a little shopping area in the back of another Pokemon Center. I mean, my lordy, there are so many Pokemon Centers. This is clearly one of the plazas, by the way, because we're right next to the Prism Tower up there on the left. So, cool stuff there. Then we get
Yeah,
another
I
light
also I
shot.
like that I like that we're getting, multiple people with their Pokemon out and kind of with them. That is
Yes.
a fun just little
Yep.
touch, is that
It's a great
clearly
point.
you're going to encounter Pokemon outside of the zones, but they're going to be, kind of trainer owned, almost like partner Pokemon,
Hmm.
which is just a fun little, like, that'll be it's a good way to give characters some flavor right away. So,
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's kind of the point. They're trying to make it, good for people and Pokemon. So,
yep.
great point there. They show the starters again real quickly here, Chikorita, Tepig, and Totodile, all in different little areas there, which is great. I don't know if there's anything of significance behind any of them, to be honest with you. When they turn, I think this is just kind of like the beginning area. You see some, I don't know, some Beats headphones in the
Yeah.
background, but then we got restaurants again. You see somebody standing outside of one. I think you're going to be able to go into these cafes. Cafes were a big part of X and Y. I think the cafes are going to be big again. You see another freaking Eevee here in the background, by the way. You
All over
see,
the place.
yeah, you see a fletchling, excuse me, on the coffee sides there. I don't know. I mean, I'm interested to see what cafes are going to be because I think there could be a lot of battling in them, Connor.
Oh yeah. Yep. That'd be cool.
Cool shots of Totodile and Tepig. Not much that we haven't already analyzed in those.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we're going to meet the other characters. So
Yep.
they're going to introduce them real quickly. So, our new friend and ally, they call them. What I read online is that you meet them. They are workers at the hotel that AZ owns, and that the hotel is like Hotel Z. It was what it's called, apparently. So that is worth noting. Urbane and Tawny, names that I can't say that I've ever heard of. I maybe Tawny, but Urbane, I don't know. Can't say I've heard of that.
Yeah.
But interesting there. And it also almost looks like I don't know if it's just his hair or not, but does AZ have like one of those foxtails that people wear behind him, or is that his hair?
Oh, I'm gonna hope it's the hair. I'm gonna
Okay.
hope that that's what it is. I think it's his long hair, just kind of draping down, or he's got a tail.
Could be.
No shame, either way.
Yeah.
You do you.
It is interesting. I just kind of noticed that.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that's a funny. Yeah, it's a funny catch.
Then you can see like pictures of Lumios and stuff in the background, which is great. Then we got the Quasartico
Yeah.
incorporated, which is right smack dab in the middle. And I remember seeing this building when they showed off the original trailer. I was like, that seems new, right? Like, I don't remember that in the game. They didn't have the big Quasar logo, Quasartico logo on it, but it's new and it's standing out, man. It's like Avengers Tower here in the middle of Paris.
Architecturally, it is a huge it's a huge
Yeah.
dichotomy rather to everything else you're seeing in the city that is like kind of this older, classic French. I don't know if it's Baroque or what the architecture is, but it's older.
Yes.
This is very modern and jarring and futuristic and cold and metal, so it's very different.
Very different is the nice way to put it. But then we kind of get to go in here and we meet Jet, who's the CEO, and Vinny. And Jet, from what I know, is the one who's kind of pushing all of this stuff forward. She's the one who's wanting us to help kind of, redevelop, I guess, is the right way to put it. We're going to get a good shot of Vinny here at some point. Okay, I just saw he doesn't have a tail. It was his hair, just so you know. I saw it moving.
Thank goodness.
You weren't feeling a tail for...
I just would prefer
guy
my
AZ.
people to not have tails, but that's just me. Who knows?
We go on.
Man.
We've got our guy here though with awesome little pins for his bun up there.
Yep.
Pancham and the Baneri. Really cool little additions there. That signifies they'll be in the game. Not that that's a huge surprise, but they will be in the game. So I wonder if those are going to be his two Pokemon that he has with him. But
That'd be cool.
that would be.
I think Vinny's my early call for a bad guy. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
I mean,
Vinny
that
looks
is
sinister.
that is a pretty hot take.
Yeah, he's gonna turn on everyone. With those sideburns, with those chops, he can't be a good normal person. He's got to be sinister in some way. Look at him.
Yeah.
What a stone cold killer.
I'm gonna actually throw out there that I don't think we've met the bad guys yet. I don't.
I'm gonna say that we haven't either at face value, but Vinny is secretly colluding with whoever we haven't seen yet.
Okay.
and it's going to
I
cause
like
a
that.
problem between him and Jet at some point. Or Jet also could be sinister.
I
AZ
mean,
is not though.
it just feels
AZ's
like it's
full.
too obvious, right? I mean, we've had Chairman Rose, who was a bit of a surprise, I guess, to some people that he ended up being bad, only kind of, really. And that
Yeah.
was in Galler, and then even like I don't know, it just feels like those types of characters they always make them look bad. I would love this time for them to be like, no, this is not
Sure.
the case. So I don't know. We'll see. We will see. We move on. We see the starters. Nothing crazy there, but then they take us through to the wild areas, right? And we see one. We see two now. Two doesn't look very big, if I'm being
Yeah.
honest with you.
Magikarp in there.
Yeah, just some Magikarp hanging out. The fletchlings, the scatterbugs, all that. You
Yep.
can see like, the posts that they have similar to what's already in France. They've already been oxidized as well as they're green. We see the Sandiles again, Flaffy and Swablu's up there at the top. But you walk in, and already you can see the Pokemon kind of perk up to seeing you. There are cars and people in here as well, and you can kind of see the map. This is our first look at the map, Connor, in the top left here, which I
Yeah.
think is significant, right? If we were to juxtapose a map onto this, as well, we could probably figure out where we're at. Again, one of my big worries is how big is this place going to be, right? This first wild area looks pretty small. To be honest,
Yeah.
I don't see any of the yellow stuff
Like
to go
one
to the top of
block.
the building. Yeah, it looks like it's about
Yeah.
a block, which is
Yeah.
fine. And actually, if you look
Yeah.
when it says Wild Zone, Connor, I didn't notice this until right now. I'm stopped at 137, but you can see which section you are in of the 5 sections. Well, 6 if you count the middle of the city. Right where it says Wild Zone, right behind it. There's a little green
the little
puzzle
pie,
piece.
the little
Yeah, the little pie piece there.
Interesting.
Didn't
That's
see
what a
that
catch.
until right now. Okay, so we know officially where we're at. We are in the bottom, probably leftish corner, like kind of right in the
Yeah.
middle there.
Yeah,
So-
southeast. If it's purely directional, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it is because the north and you can see the time of day as well in the top. So yeah, just noticing all that. Then it looks like there's a little cart in this next scene, which is interesting. But the fletchling, why does it have all the arrows? What does that mean next to it? Is it like a really
Yeah.
good Pokemon? Is it? I don't
Easy
know.
to catch. Like
Yeah, easy
likely
to
that it's going to be caught.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good point.
Or health. Maybe health. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
A lot of
interesting.
questions.
Then you got it registered, which is cool. So this is number 10, right, in the game. Then in this next scene, you can see we're back to 6. So we know that some of these areas for sure are going to have ups and downs and all arounds. But what's interesting to me as well, you can see the little flight logo.
Yeah.
So that means you're going to be able to fly to these areas. So they feel like this is going to be a big enough game to where you're going to need to fly to these areas. You can see the mountains in the background, which I think is awesome. Again, a little bit, in the golden hour, afternoon, evening, early evening time. And I think the arrows mean that you're up, by the way, on this one. That's my guess.
Yep. I can see that. Yeah. This looks good though.
Flaffy comes out. Now, this is so interesting here, Connor. So I kind of want to take this for a second. Oh, I accidentally clicked too much. So if in this split second between when the Flaffy is like getting ready to be battled, you give the order for Razor Leaf. Watch what happens under the Chikorita here. It's like you are moving to decide what that Pokemon is going to do, right? Like, I know it sounds weird, but I almost wonder if at times you're not going to be locked in on your Pokemon and they're going to be doing their own thing. Like, this is like the whole commanding thing. Like, this screenshot is actually huge. We're going to stay here for just a second because there's a lot to get to. But that was the first thing that I saw there. And you can see, again, like you were talking about, maybe the little arrows are health because the Flaffy's got 2 little yellow ones right next to it. But
yeah.
lot to go. What are you thinking with that whole little interaction of the command almost going to the Chikorita?
Yeah, I like that. I think that is interesting. So basically, like if you're in the wild and you want to throw a Pokeball, maybe that's where you deselect your Pokemon, kind of put them on autopilot while you get your Pokeball out to throw it, maybe in the middle of the battle.
Yeah.
But I think this is a good point, Rob. You also see cooldowns on the moves, what it
Yep.
looks like. So in Leafage, there's like a bar that's ticking down.
Yep.
Like you're going to have to wait a little bit to use that attack again. I like the UI here. I love that there's like a kind of battle sequence on the right. It's very easy to understand.
Yep.
You also in this shot see another wild zone glowing on the left side of the screen.
Yeah.
That looks like it's either the boundary of the current one or it's indicating another one on that other rooftop.
Yeah.
Just so much here that I think is good, honestly.
Yeah, and you can see like in the map on the left, I think it is the ending of it, which is a great point. I think that rooftop doesn't count as a wild zone, which is interesting. Then on the bottom left here, you've got the different Pokemon that we've all seen. Swirlix, I believe, is confirmed for the first time here. You can also see at the top, right, like something that comes back from Arceus, Scarlet and Violet, where, the Pokemon see you, right? Something that I think is important. And then a big one, a huge one, actually, Connor, is Disarming Voice, a fairy move for Chikorita. First time that, because Chikorita doesn't naturally learn this right now. We believe, the community, myself even, I believe that they're right on this. This means Meganium is probably going to be Grass and Fairy. So, really cool. Love that, to be honest with you. What that unfortunately probably means is that for you Emboar fans out there, they may just hate this Pokemon and keep it as firefighting, which would be incredible if they were to do that again. I don't know that they're going to, Connor. It would just be funny. I don't know how else to put it. I would actually think it'd be hysterical if they decided to do that. And then maybe they would make Feraligatr Steel. Water Steel is where I could see that going. That
maybe Water Dark, maybe.
Water Dark could work too. Yeah.
I don't know. Yep. Or just pure water. I have no idea, though. That is tough.
Yeah. So, very interesting here. Makes it almost for sure that we're going to be getting a new typing with it. What is also interesting is I saw somebody say this, and I don't think they meant it in this way, but this is right before Chikorita is going to evolve. Maybe our second evolutions are also going to be getting new forms. That would be cool. Give a little love to the middle evolutions. Never happens.
Yeah,
so
that's true. That's true.
A lot of stuff in this little sequence right here, Connor. Just really crazy. Of all this that's going on, I will say it also confirms on the left, XP share is back officially. So nothing too crazy there as we move on. You catch the Flaffy, great. I'm pumped because Ampharos is back. For those of you who don't know, Ampharos is my favorite Pokemon. So very excited that we'll be getting that one back. I believe your boy, Growlithe is going to be in here too.
Let's hope so.
I'm pretty sure. Now we get the big battle scene. So this is cool.
Yep.
What we have talked about for so many years, right? And now I will say, if you look down to the right now, it looks like you're kind of getting to pick what move it's going to be. You can see like the circles maybe. I don't know if maybe I'm wrong on that one. Or it may be physical and special. That may be what that is. I apologize. But you can see that like it says moves are going to have shorter and longer reaches, which is crazy, by the way. The fact that they are putting actual lengths to moves, I think, is insane. And your Pokemon,
it's a whole new stat for every move. It's a whole new stat for every single move, which is crazy if that's true.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep. And like you can dodge rollouts, so evasiveness is going to be in the game to some degree, right? But how? And then I want to watch the command. There's a circle. He clicks on Water Gun and it goes out. It's almost like there's an intentional delay from when you send the move out. That's a part of that evasiveness. That's a part of that action of the move, right? And like how do you dodge the Water Gun? Is it possible to dodge it? Because you can dodge the rollout, obviously. Like Tepig didn't follow Totodile necessarily, but the Water Gun did.
A couple things on this. I think that this could indicate, the accuracy of moves coming into play is like a practical statistic of like, Rollout has a 90 accuracy. That means that it can be dodged. 100s maybe just won't be. Yeah. And in the next battle sequences as well, it looks like there's reactive attacks.
Yeah. Yeah. So you get, the Protect, which is crazy on Lucario. You can also see really quickly down here, Diggersby, Pyroar, Kangaskhan, whatever. I think it's Spritzy. I can't remember. And then Roserade. And to your point, Connor, by the way, this is a battle like field, so like a stadium type thing, right? Or court, maybe you would call it. Very interesting. And this is almost looks like a no-name trainer, so that's really cool. Spritzy, there's Spritzy. So whatever the evolution of that is down there in the bottom. But yeah, you get the protect and you use it, right, like you said. And the timing, because all the moves have timings, is going to be important. You don't just get to use it and it automatically blocks one. It probably there's even how long that protect actually even stays on your Pokemon, right?
That's what I was going to say is do you have to actually hit a timing like skill shot to block that? Now it would be an easy skill shot, but that would be completely, I mean, it changes the whole way you do Pokemon battle. I mean, it really does change it at such a fundamental level.
Yeah.
And like in the next one with Stealth Rock, it's the same thing, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, the cool part is like, that allows for like two different styles, right? And could this be a new type of one where they focus on that? Yeah, we got Pokemon Champions that we were just talking about, you and I, Connor. That could be something here. Again, real quick, pointing out the Pokemon. You got Hippowdon here, Talonflame. Pidgeot's going to be in the game. You got Pidgeotto there. Slurpuff, Skidoo, Flaffy again, and whatever the one is right before Sliggoo. I don't know why I'm forgetting that Pokemon's name. But then in the bottom left, I want to point out real quickly as well, Connor. You can see one of the areas. That looks like number 4 down there. And that one's under the bridge as well. So, maybe there's a little bit here. But yeah, like you said, then using Stealth Rocks in this way is unbelievable to me. Literally, the physical move from the Talonflame using, it looks like Flame Wheel. Yeah, Flame Wheel. Just pops right into it and dies. Gets knocked out, right? Yeah. Absolutely crazy. That's awesome.
So cool. So cool. Oh my gosh.
It's amazing. Wow. Lead your partners through the battle. You go to the next one here. You got the Pyroar again. Vivillon, Onix, Steelix, and Mega Steelix will be in the game, obviously. Somebody pointed out that's interesting to this one as well, along with the switching, but they are using the smaller forms. That's a smaller Onix, obviously. Most of the time they are towering over you. Talonflame, Go-Goat, Ampharos, and Florges. But yeah, this is kind of wild. Like, I think you, as somebody who's done a lot of battling, right? Like, dude, how crazy is it that if your Pokemon's like just getting its butt kicked, you can just switch during the middle of a move even to try to, take it out of that situation. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like Pokemon has become Elden Ring a little bit. It's like you're gonna have to like be pretty on your toes to really get good at battling in this game. Which again, when I used to play Pokemon VGC, I would sit there for 5 minutes and decide my move or whatever the time cap was at the tournament.
Yep.
So, this just feels, again, as you mentioned, battling is by far what I'm most comfortable with, and like doubles especially is what I'm used to. And can you imagine, I don't think it'll be in this game, but can you imagine this format with doubles? How in the world would you do that? I mean, it would be insane.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
That sounds
you have to like switch to like, I'll command you, do this move, I'll switch my command over to you. Well, you're using this move, go ahead and do this move. Like, it's awesome. It's cool, but it's also overwhelming from a strategic point of view.
Oh, and it will be.
It's exciting. It's
an action RPG now, That's what's going to be fun about it. I
love it.
They show more of the evolutions. We're at Absol here. This is another really big screen. I know this is going long, but this is crazy. So this is a later game area with the red flags. I really think that is significant, to be honest with you. The trainers, Pokemon are up there at the top. You can see the different stuff of that. Geez, man, like, what is going on with these megaforms down there on the bottom right? Right, all the moves have C pluses next to them. Normally not a good grade.
Yeah,
but like it powers up your moves, and it looks like there's a timer. Maybe is the way that this looks for each of your moves.
Yeah.
As we move through them, you're going through. You got the Absol into the Charizard using Outrage. Okay, so that's what that move is. I was kind of wondering. No new Pokemon really down there. And then, battling one of those Garvadors, one of the trash Pokemon down here. Again, I'm really intrigued by this whole And then like even this right here, Connor, I think is huge. Kangaskhan uses Bulldoze and it hits all the Pokemon around it, not just the Garbodor. So
big AoE, yeah.
Yeah, really interesting stuff on that one, to be honest.
Yeah, that glowing kind of aura in your bottom right looks like it has blocks. So maybe you're going to get a certain number of moves in your Mega Form before you revert or something. You
That
get
makes sense.
What could look like 4 attacks or 6 or something.
Maybe it
not
goes
sure
up
though.
as I go up in levels.
Yeah, could be that it scales. So so interesting though. Just a lot here that I'm very excited to see more about.
As wild. That is wild. We're nearing the end here. You see Dedenne and Swirlix. Dedenne eating food as it does. Gyarados, Magikarp, Inkay confirmed. Again, Pat Rat. You got Fletchling there. Leo in the background. Then you see the Quasar Tico people, whatever their names are. And you can see the map, right? And you can see the 5 new districts. The new plazas, I should say, as you're doing them there. Then this last one little here is interesting. Looker is a character who does some stuff with, kind of some investigative things, right? And it looks like he's back. That's the way this is seeming. Can't say for sure, but there will be some investigations, it looks like, of some kind, maybe. Even like you can see in the background here, Connor, like this map that has all of these areas, these points with strings attached to them. So like what is actually going on behind the scenes is kind of the way I take
What's Vinny doing? What's Vinny up to? I'm telling you. Up to no good.
No good is absolutely right. We've got the Zygarde cell here as well. And you can see what's interesting in that shot is like the path. There are freaking paths on the buildings. Like there's a literal just you're going to go around that corner, right? Which is pretty crazy. And then you can even see some of the scaffolding in the background at like the 259 portion, right in the middle there. So you're building out a bunch of stuff. I mean, the city is huge. Zooms past, your character there, gets a good look, and then the big bad news of coming in 2025, late 2025. We knew it was coming in 2025, but the late 2025 part is a bit of a bummer. And then I guess they show this same thing again at the end of this trailer too, so we don't need to go into that.
Same teaser.
Let's talk about that real quick, and then we'll wrap this up because, like I said, a little longer than we were expecting, but there is so much to digest in all of these scenes. Late 2025 feels bad. I'm fine. Like, people are like, take all the time they need. I get that perspective, but dude, it has been a drought. Like, we haven't gotten a new Pokemon game. It'll be 3 years. 3 years since a full release, and it'll be closing in on 4 years since a new generation game. Like we just got Gen 9. We'll get Gen 10 in 2026, it would seem at this point. Kind of crazy. 30th anniversary, I think, is going to be really big. A little less in this Pokemon Day than I thought, but this was good overall. Where are you at with this late 2025, and how are you feeling about Legends ZA right now?
Yeah, I the only saving grace is my hope that we'll get Pokemon Champions prior to that.
Yeah.
Now it also does say just in development, and it didn't give a projection for that date, which could indicate that it's later. I mean, that could mean
next year.
That could mean that Champions is December and that ZA is October or something. Mm-hmm. That's not an outcome I want to really think about, but my thinking is that we'll get ZA around mid-November, late November, to kind of ramp it up before the holiday season. That's just a good time to release things. There's probably a lot of marketing incentive there to do that. But at the end of the day, I'm like you, Rob. I just I'm impatient with stuff like this. I understand this is a really robust game, a lot of new engines at work here, but would have loved to have seen this come out maybe 2 months, 3 months earlier than what we're thinking right now.
Yeah, a little bummed. I will admit, I'm a little bummed on this one. I really thought we were going to be getting, because there were a lot of rumors, March, April, June, August.
Right.
I think there's a chance we get it in October. They have done October releases before. I think that sometimes they like to jump out ahead, and especially with GTA 6 coming out this year. I know that it's not necessarily the same crossover, but Pokemon's not dumb. if there's anything that can kind of even come close to clashing with them, it is GTA. So I guess we'll have to see. I'm hopeful maybe October, or maybe said GTA is like, I don't want to mess with Pokemon. So, I mean, there's two sides to every coin, right? That's how it
Yeah.
goes. So I disappointed for sure, but the game looks good.
Yeah.
I'm sad that it took us a year to get this new information, honestly. And we're gonna dissect, the hell out of this more and more. People will. They'll find new things, but I think that'll do it for us, Connor. I'm really pumped. This is a lot of information, a lot of new good stuff. Like I said, for us to dissect, to I don't know, digest as well. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for us. Unless you have any final thoughts.
That's it. Excited for the game. Excited for the new battling. It's a hell of a lot to take in, but excited to just see more and get more information as the time goes on.
Yeah, let us know if there's anything else that you guys would like to see. If there's something that we missed in the comments below. Again, a like and a subscribe is always welcome, as this is going to be probably one of our first videos that we put out. So a little bit of a longer one, but hopefully a good one for all of you guys here at Poke House. So that's going to wrap it up for us. So from our house to yours, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.